This can of Coca-Cola used to contain 9 milligrams of cocaine, but that's not even the real secret.
What if I told you their famous original taste wasn't even original at all? It was stolen from a widely popular drink laced with alcohol and cocaine that was endorsed by the Pope and US presidents.
To understand what Coca-Cola really is, we have to go back to 1863 to meet the drink that started it all. Meet Vin Mariani, the cocaine wine that literally had everyone hooked. And I mean everyone.
What you talking about, man? I don't do drugs.
French chemist Angelo Mariani first created this medicinal tonic by soaking coca leaves, the cocaine plant, in premium Bordeaux red wine. Since the coca plant has been used for centuries by the indigenous people of South America for energy and altitude sickness, Mariani thought to himself, you know what would make this better? Alcohol. Thus, the drink Vin Mariani was born. He sold it as a magical elixir that fights fatigue, improves mood, cures depression, and aids in digestion. And somehow, it worked. This stuff literally became the energy drink of the 1800s. Thomas Edison, the guy that invented the light bulb, well, he said it boosted his productivity. The 18th president of the United States, Ulysses S. Grant, was a regular customer. Even Queen Victoria, the Queen of England, allegedly gave Vin Mariani her royal endorsement. Oh yeah, and the Pope too. Pope Leo XIII literally gave the cocaine wine a Vatican gold medal. There's actually a poster of him endorsing the product. Everyone was absolutely delighted about alcohol mixed with drugs.
You know, if it's good with water, it'd be even better with wine, huh? Just like Jesus says.
And depending on who you ask, that's probably still true to this day. But how did this global phenomena turn into the Coca-Cola we know today? Enter John Pemberton, a Confederate soldier that just returned from home from the Civil War. After being wounded in battle, like many soldiers, he was treated with morphine. And again, like many veterans, he couldn't stop taking it after the war ended. Previously being a pharmacist from Georgia, he was desperately looking for a cure to his own addiction. He tried everything to get clean, but the morphine withdrawal was brutal and he just kept relapsing. But then he heard about Vin Mariani. With all the famous people claiming that it gave them more energy, more focus, made them feel better, he thought maybe this will help me get off the morphine, essentially replacing one addiction with another. So in 1885, he created his own version of Vin Mariani to try it. Finally finding some relief and being impressed by its effects,
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
he decides to sell it to the veterans suffering from the same addiction. He called it Pemberton's French Wine Coca, basically a Vin Mariani knockoff. The syrup was a mixture of coca leaf extract, wine, and a little caffeine from the cola nuts and some sugar, which is also where the name came from. Coca from the cocaine leaf and cola from the cola nut. Pemberton's bookkeeper suggested that they should change the K to a C so the two C's look better in advertising, and that's how the name got started. But then disaster strikes. In 1885, Atlanta passed local prohibition laws banning the sale of alcoholic beverages. And since Pemberton's medicine contained alcohol, he had to make a choice. Either shut down his business or remove the wine and keep the cocaine. So of course, Pemberton removed the alcohol from his drink and just kept the cocaine. But by removing the alcohol, it meant that the drink became more bitter. So Pemberton added plenty of sugar and citric acid to mask cocaine's bitterness. And so the recipe was finalized. On May 8th of 1886, he took his syrup to Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, mixed it with some carbonated water, and sold his first glass of Coca-Cola, the brain tonic. It was sold for 5 cents. Although the drink was well received, the sales were just modest. The first year they sold on average of 9 glasses per day. Unfortunately, Pemberton's health was still declining, and at this point he needed money. Since Coca-Cola wasn't successful yet, he decides to sell off portions of his company. One of the people he sold Coca-Cola's rights to was a man named Asa Griggs Candler, and he sold for about $2,300, which is the equivalent of $75,000 today. Candler said he acquired the company for $2,300 in cash and a handshake. John Pemberton died in August of 1888, and sadly, he never got to see his drink reach the popularity of today. After Candler bought the company, it was still exclusively sold as a fountain drink. It wasn't until the two lawyers from Chattanooga, Tennessee came along to change that. You see, in 1899, two lawyers, Thomas and Whitehead, approached Asa Candler to ask for the exclusive rights to bottle Coca-Cola in the United States. Candler, thinking that bottling would never succeed, he sold them the rights to bottle Coca-Cola for $1, and he continued to focus on fountain sales. Little did he know that this would be the biggest mistake of his life. But here's the wild part. Essentially from 1886 to 1903, a period of 17 years, all the Coca-Cola people drank actually contained cocaine in it. They were literally selling people cocaine water, and it was completely legal.
I mean, no wonder why people had so much energy back
I
then.
don't know why, but today seems like it's gonna be a great day.
But society was quickly changing, and Coca-Cola was about to face the biggest crisis in their history. By the early 1900s, the medical community was starting to figure out that maybe, just maybe, cocaine wasn't the miracle cure they thought it was. Doctors were seeing patients becoming addicted, exhibiting erratic behavior, and suffering from serious health problems. The public freaked out, and some even called it the devil's drug. Talks of regulation and bans began, which meant that Coca-Cola had a big problem on their hands. So in 1903, Candler made a decision. He quietly removed the active cocaine from his drink, and then they switched it to spent coca leaves instead. Using the coca leaf extract retained the flavor of Coca-Cola, but the cocaine is now chemically removed.
My eyes are burning. My eyes are burning.
And to avoid further association with the coca plant, the company used codename ingredient number 5 for the coca extract instead. Fun fact, Coca-Cola is still the largest legal purchaser of imported coca leaves in the United States. They buy it from the Stepan company, and that's the only company authorized by the DEA to import coca leaves legally and commercially.
Please, Senor Sente. No DEA, please.
So what's the secret? Is it just the leaves? Well, taking a look at Pemberton's old notes from his diary, of all the ingredients that Pemberton wrote down, there's one that we haven't really talked about yet. It's something called Merchandise 7X, which is their secret blend of oils that's still locked in their vault today. So maybe that's the secret. Or maybe it's back to ingredient number 5, and there's still trace amounts of cocaine in the drink, and that's why we're so addicted to the stuff. But here's what I think the real secret is. They got an entire generation hooked on cocaine-laced soda, they quietly removed the cocaine, and somehow convinced everyone that the leftover sugar water was still magical. They didn't just survive the scandal, they transformed it into their greatest marketing asset. And the best part? The real recipe is still locked in the vault in Atlanta till this day. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola is sold in nearly every country on earth except North Korea and Cuba, and the company is now worth over $300 billion. So the next time somebody asks you what's the secret formula inside Coca-Cola, just remember, the secret isn't what's in the formula, but what isn't. Now isn't that refreshing?